Hello, my name is Am, and welcome back to my channel. Alright guys, Shingeki Day. The second last episode of this season, not series. So that's quite exciting. Just as exciting as the cliffhanger from the last episode, or just the last episode in general, that day. Perhaps the most important episode of the entire series. Monumental, just incredible. So I'm quite excited to see how that progresses into this episode. But yeah, before I get into it, if you're interested in full length for this episode, or maybe even early access to the next episode right after this, consider checking out the Patreon page. And in doing so, you'll be supporting the channel. You know, check out some of the listings there. There's other content happening on the channel now, so maybe something else might even catch your eye. But yeah, consider checking it out. Consider subscribing to the channel. There is a schedule in place now. I'm back in a totally different capacity now, so yeah, you know, you'll be supporting the channel. And also consider checking out the pinned comment, links to social media, and links to the Patreon page. Okay, so I think that's about it. Let's get into this episode. Yeah, those green eyes.
俺はエレン・クルーガー。今見せた通り、9つの巨人の一つをやっ
Aaron Kruger.
つまりはお前と同じユミルの民だ。
Eldian.
結果こそはグライスが嘆いた通りだったがな。
That was the guy who brought him in.
その通りだ。俺はダメ
Oh.
な父親で、ダメな夫で、ダメな男だった。
He certainly failed as a father.
ダイナは王家の血を引くユミルの
That's...
民は特別だ。巨人の進化を引き出す。
So they
俺
knew.
がもみ消したりしなければ答えろ。なぜ俺だけ生かした。 よせ、指が痛むだろう。お気遣いに感謝するよ。人の指をちょん切るのは気にならないらしいがな。俺たちは何のためにここで巨人にされたんだ。
Oh. Oh.
急に顔色が。
He's not looking good.
だけじゃない。何千人ものユミルの手の指を切り落とし。
Deep undercover, right?
時間がない。
Ah.
お前に最後の任務を託す。
Holy shit. Oh.
他の誰かではなくお前にだ。お前の目に映る像はこの世を
Right.
焼き尽く
Just
さ
like
れる
Aaron
ばかりだった。
after him.
しかし何も成し遂げることなく生きたまま焼かれた。幼かった。
Those uniforms.
その様子を戸棚の隙間から見ていることしかできなかった。戸棚の隙間から世界を見ているだけなのかもしれない。
Oh. Hmm.
教えてくれ、フクロ。これから壁内に潜入し、始祖の巨人を奪還しろ。俺から巨人を継承してな。
Ah, there it is.
なぜあんたがやらない。9つの巨人の力を継承した者は13年だ。俺が継承したのも13年前になる。フクロはそれを。
The curse of Ymir.
13年は。
Yeah, I'm gonna own that one, okay?
死ぬまでの年月に相当する時間。
Ah, okay.
僕はあと13年。エレンは
Even
残り8年。もうないな。
違う。
9つの巨人を宿す者が力を継承させることなく死んだ場合、巨人の力はそれ以降に誕生する
Oh.
ユミルの民の赤子に突如
random selection, huh?
ある継承者は道を見たと言った。巨人を形成する血や骨、時には記憶や意志もその道を通り送られてくる。そしてその道は全て一つの座標で交わる。
The founding titan.
それが始祖の巨人だ。
Oh. So that's what Ymir saw.
ユミルの民はその座標へとつながっている。マーレ政権下では悪魔の使い、エルディア帝国の時代では神がもたらした奇跡。有機生物の起源と接触した少女。
Oh, almost kind of like Prometheus.
それが現実だ。
Huh.
誰だって神でも悪魔にでもなれる。誰かがそれを真実だと言えばな。残念なことにダイナが王家の血を引くのは事実だ。ではなぜ見捨てた。
王家の血を引くものだからだ。
Right.
手に渡すべきではなかった。
それでも
死ぬまで敵国のための子を産まされ続ける生涯の方が
Yeah.
良かっ
They
た。
would have used her, huh?
俺は何も分かっていなかった。これが自由の代償だと分かっていたなら笑わなかった。
戦え。
戦え。
エルディアに自由と尊厳を取り戻すために立て。お前の家から。
Oh.
見られない、立てない、戦えない、弾もないか。
俺に残されたのは罪だけだ。
それで十分だ。あの日お前が妹を連れて壁の外に出ていなければ、いずれ父親の診療所を継ぎ、大人になった妹は結婚し子供を産んでいたかもしれない。だがお前は壁の外に出た。俺はここで初めて同胞を蹴落とした日から、お前は妹を連れて壁の外に出た日から、
Put things in
お前
motion.
が報われる日まで進み続けるんだ。死んでも死んだ後も。これはお前が始めた物語だろう。9つの巨人にはそれぞれ名前がある。これからお前へ継承される巨人にもだ。その巨人はいついかなる時代においても自由を求めて進み続けた。自由のために戦った。
Aaron's inner.
名は
進撃の巨人。
He said the thing. Shingeki no Kyojin. The Attack Titan.
何してるの？
Bro, he's like reliving.
進撃の巨人。やってたよね、今。
Isayama-san.
やってたよね。今の
Oh,
は何だ
he's
ったの
so
よ。
drained though. Look at him.
いえ、別に。
10日分の罰なら今半時。
My mind is fucking blown right now.
少し痩せたか。飯は十分食えたのに。
She's been the curse of Ymir, man.
元気そう。
まあな。
行くぞ。身支度を急げ。
親愛なるヒストリアへ。今私の隣にはライナーがいる。私が恋文をしたためる様子を覗き見している。だがお前にこの手紙を届けると約束してくれた。
He kept the promise.
あの時こいつらを救った借りを返したいのだと。私はこれから死ぬ。でも後悔はしてない。
No regrets.
そう言いたいところだが正直心残りがある。まだお前と結婚できてないことだ。ユミルより。
How did that happen?
その道は全て一つの座標で。
That's incredible. That aspect.
つまりそれが始祖の巨人だ。
何今のは。
She's gone. I mean, I've known, but
バカだな、ユミルって。
she's a legend.
敵が巨人という化け物だけであればどんなに良かったことでしょうか。しかし我々が相手にしていた敵の正体は人であり、文明であり、言うなれば
そりゃ言っちまえば
世界です。
Yeah.
壁の王は戦わない。
Pacifist.
エルディア
Whoa.
が再び罪を犯すというのなら、我々は
Whoa.
滅ぶべくして滅ぶ。
Yeah.
我は始祖の巨人と不戦のちぎりを交わした。
壁の巨人が世界を平らにならすとも言い残したのではないのか。
その言葉が抑止力になる間に
It's a bluff.
束の間の平和を享受するらしい。無垢な民に囲まれ、そこを楽園だとほざいている。
Oh my goodness.
守らぬ王は王ではない。必ず見つけ出して臆した王から始祖の巨人を取り上げろ。それが俺たちの使命だ。
Look at that face though, man.
始祖の巨人がその進化を発揮する条件は 王家の血を引く者がその力を宿すこと。だがその者が始祖の巨人を宿しても壁の王の思想にとらわれ
Right? Lives on to possess them.
自死の道のみとなる。しかしながら過去にエレンは無垢の巨人を操り窮地を逃れたことがあります。王家の血を引く者ではないエレンにもその力を使える可能性があるのかもしれません。
あの時は一瞬だけ全てがつながった気がした。
Yeah.
どうしてあの一
Because
瞬
she's royal, my dude.
私はダイナ・フリッツと申します。王家の血を引く者。
There it is. Official confirmation.
会議を妨げてすいません。
Historia.
何よりこんなことを話して
Yeah, they showed a close-up of Historia.
王家の血を引く者を巨人にして俺が接触すれば
Oh, that answers
巨
it.
人の力を扱えるかもしれない。
家庭を持て。壁の中に入ったら所帯を持つんだ。妻でも子供でも町の人でもいい。壁の中で人を愛せ。それができなければ繰り返すだけだ。同じ歴史を、同じ過ち
The
を
cycle.
何度も。ミカサやアルミン、みんなを救いたいなら使命を全うしろ。
ミカサ？アルミン？誰のことだ？
さあ、わからない。誰の記憶だろう。
Hold up. What the fuck just happened? Oh, it's a new ending. They're showing those scenes again. From that day. But no. Season 2 end credits. Okay. Right then. So of course there's this insane bombshell right at the end. I mean, to save Armin, to save Mikasa, and everyone else, you must see it through. Now, before I tackle that, the mid-episode card completely changes it, right? It adds quite a bit of substantial information to this, that allows to make more sense of this. And, for some strange reason, the Blu-ray just doesn't have a translation for it. So I had to go and dig out another version of it, the Horrible Subs version of this episode. And the translation there is a bit of a game changer, right? So I'm kind of shocked that the Blu-ray left that translation out for the mid-episode card. So I think the most important part of this mid-episode card, or the translation of it, is the bit that specifies that this is through paths that transcend space and time, right? Essentially transcending the four-dimensional space-time, right? Now that certainly makes things quite interesting, doesn't it? And then, Aaron stated that at times, even memories and thoughts can be sent through these paths, right? Now, I think it is important to note that he is saying that memories and thoughts can be sent, meaning that someone has to take the action of sending them or putting it into motion, right? So does that mean that, is that implying that the trajectory of the past or the future could be altered through this, right? And, going back a bit to the point of him saying at times, I think that kind of means that it's not a regular occurrence, right? It's something unique. So does that mean this is yet another special ability unique just to a royal blood holder of the founding titan, right? Now I'll come back to that in a bit. Let's go back to Aaron Kruger saying this, right? Now this is something Grisha said to Aaron, right? Right before he injected him. And of course, this has been something that's been coming up, time and time again throughout the series, from season 1 to now, right? It'll pop up every now and then, this memory. So yeah, he said, if you want to save Armin and if you want to save Mikasa and everyone else, you have to learn to master it, right? And that their memories will show you how to use it. So the wording is a bit different here, right? Kruger said something a bit different, right? You have to follow through. But Grisha's saying you have to learn to master it. I don't know if that makes a big difference or anything, but still. Now let's list out the possibilities. Is that just Grisha saying it to Eren because he remembered Kruger saying it to him at this moment in time, right? And then it might have just clicked at that moment. He might have realized, why Kruger got that memory. Is this just Kruger experiencing one of Grisha's future memories, right? Because Grisha does say it to Eren. But again, now it's the tricky part is Grisha saying it to Eren because he heard Kruger say it or say it out loud at this moment in time? Or is Kruger getting that memory from the future, right? That takes me to the next possibility. Is this Kruger being connected with Eren, right? And getting or experiencing this memory or getting this memory, right, in the past because they're connected through the Attack Titan, right, Shingeki no Kyojin. But the strange part about that one is the fact that Eren, Jaeger, Armin, and Mikasa are not even born yet, right? So that starts tapping into this other new possibility of memories and thoughts being, sent through paths that transcend space and time, right? So that is strange, yet so exciting. Then, that goes directly into perhaps the most sci-fi possibility of them all. And, it directly links to this newly exposited information through Eren, right? Is it possible that Eren himself is sending this memory back from the future to Eren Kruger at that moment in time because his father is right there, right? Because again, I'm gonna have to keep repeating it and keep that in my mind that they've established now that memories and thoughts can be sent through these paths that transcend space and time, right? So that might be the most sci-fi sounding of the lot, but that's an exciting possibility. That Eren himself is sending it to that moment in time, right, to Eren Kruger. But then see that possibility also stems out to other possibilities and some sad ones. Does that mean that in this particular future, Armin and Mikasa might have died, and then Eren Jaeger is trying to perhaps change the trajectory of how these things play out, right, or how that path plays out, right, in an attempt to save Armin and Mikasa down the line, right? You see that kind of thing in stories that utilize time travel, trying to change the past, or the future has happened, or something something devastating has happened in the future, so you kind of go to the past or try to alter the past, or try to alter the trajectory as to change how things play out in the future, right? So there could be a possibility that Eren himself is sending this message or thought or memory, through these paths they've mentioned. Now, before I forget, let's quickly jump to the first episode of the series, right? That the dream and even the title of the episode, right? To you, 2,000 years in the future. Now that starts to make a bit more sense as well, right? Or at least some of the information exposited in this episode shed some light on that, right? And how that might have been possible, right? This strange dream he had that appeared to have moments from the future and perhaps even the past, right? Now, the thing again is that he is not a Titan at that point in time. He's not one of the 9, right? Yet he is getting these memories and thoughts, or they appear to be memories. All of the stuff he kind of sees. Of course, he sees his mom being lifted by the Smiling Titan, Dinah Fritz, and then he sees a few other things like the dead scouts in the forest, right? And then some other strange things that didn't make much sense yet. That could be from the past, right? For all I know. So even though Eren isn't a Titan in that moment in time, they have introduced the possibility of intertwined moments playing out all at the same time, right? All at once. Time is happening all at once, right? Be it the past, present, and future. I'll go into that in a bit, as I draw parallels to a few other stories that I like. Now, is that the case here? Even though he's not a Titan now, even though he's not the Attack Titan, Shingeki no Kyojin at that point in time, he will be in the future, right? That's a given. He does take on the Attack Titan from his father, who took it on from Eren Kruger. So does that, could that be the reason for this? Even though he's not a Titan at the moment, he's connected because all these things are kind of playing out at the same time, right? Because again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. This whole concept of pads, transcending space and time, maybe that could explain a bit of it, right? Now, as Eren is describing the whole concept of the subjects of Ymir being connected by this invisible, or by something they cannot see, right? These invisible paths. For most of them, at least. More on that later. But it was clear he's experiencing that moment, that particular moment, as Kruger, right? Through Kruger's memories, because there's that fantastic transition of him transitioning to Kruger in that past memory and speaking to his own father, right? So that's fascinating. Not only is he experiencing his own father's memories, he's experiencing Kruger's memories in that moment in time as well. So two different perspectives. Imagine that. That is just, that's just crazy, right? And of course, that's because he's so connected to these two individuals. Of course, Kruger used to be the Attack Titan, and then he passes it on to Grisha Jaeger, and then Kruger kind of becomes part of Grisha Jaeger, and then both of them become part of Eren Jaeger, right after Grisha gives it to Eren. So there's a strong connection there to both of those past holders of the Attack Titan. Now again, it was so transportive that he was actually reenacting some of the same positions, right? He's I'm going to sound like a broken record for a lot of these things, but he is experiencing that moment. He is almost kind of being transported in a moment in time, right? So it's him reliving those exact moments. So you'll see him sitting in the exact same position as Eren Kruger at some point, and then you'll see him cross-legged on the bed, just like his father is in that memory, right? And then later he's holding his hand up like his father is, as he said, Shingeki no Kyojin. So it appears the story is starting to explore the concept of transcending temporality, right? Bringing a character, or potentially bringing a character into a higher sense of freedom within the parameters they've set up, right? Or actually beyond the parameters they've set up so far, right? The four-dimensional space-time. The two things that immediately came to my mind are Interstellar and Bran, the three-eyed raven from Game of Thrones. It's beautiful under the sea, but if you stay too long, you'll drown, right? Now, as depicted in the last episode, Eren was quite discombobulated, right? For the first few seconds, he said, "Who am I?" Right? He was just so out of it. Man. You can already tell, like in this episode, that he was so out of it. He looked so deflated. He looked tired, exhausted. He was starting to look depressed during that big meeting that's going on, right? So it's already taken a toll on him, having access to so many of these memories, right? That yet another burden on Eren. And again, they made sure to specify his age again, or bring it into our headspace again that he's only 15. Levi said it. So it's just crazy the amount of burden this young adult's been carrying for the last little bit, right? And now this, again, spoilers for Game of Thrones. So maybe skip this part of the discussion if you don't want any spoilers. But Bran does end up becoming quite detached or disconnected from his surroundings, right? Once he does become the three-eyed raven proper, because he wasn't just Bran anymore. He had the memories of everyone and everything, right? Now, Interstellar. So there's the fifth dimension, right, in Interstellar, and time exists all at once in that dimension. And Matthew McConaughey's character Cooper is able to transcend time and connect with his daughter Murph, right? So that really, the moment I started reading some of this stuff in this episode, I instantly started thinking of that. And again, that's the reason I was trying to connect it to this, right? Again, these pads that transcend space and time. And speaking of the fifth dimension from Interstellar, there's also a possible parallel here as well. Now, this episode just kind of reminded me that they've actually shown me something quite insane or quite fascinating a long time ago. Back in season 2, episode 10, right? Ymir's backstory, the rebirth scene. This is kind of insane. Now back then I didn't really make much of this. I thought this was more of like an inner mind, this experience that she's having. But it appears that it's much more than that, actually. So Ymir actually experienced something quite amazing, something quite incredible, something quite rare, according to Eren. She was in this realm or this plane of existence, right? This fantastical realm or this other dimension, right? She was experiencing the physical manifestation of these paths that are, for the most part, meant to be invisible, right? According to Eren, that is. Most Eldians don't see that, right? He said there was one rare case. In one case, someone, said that they saw these paths, right? But Ymir actually, after her rebirth, after becoming one of the 9, she ends up in this dimension, right? This other realm. I'm not even sure what else to call it. I think dimension is the closest thing to an accurate assessment, I'd say, at this moment in time. Now, could this place be similar to the fifth dimension from Interstellar, right? That time is taking place all at once, right? And Ymir was lucky enough to experience it or see the physical manifestation of it or be transported there for a moment in time. As she, took on one of the 9. So let's keep an eye out on that. And, one of the other thing that makes me think that this is important is the fact that, around the time I uploaded that episode, right, a few years ago now, it was specified to me that this wasn't meant to be shown yet. Apparently, that part, Ymir's backstory and her rebirth scene wasn't shown until much later in the manga, but they decided to put that into season 2, right? So, the fact that it was meant to be shown much later also, makes me kind of go on that path of considering it quite important, I think. And of course, it's just absolutely stunning in there, right? In that place. Some of the most beautiful frames from the entire series take place there. Ymir looking up at those lights, the coordinate pads, right? And the blue light and I don't know, it was just like mist or fog or something on the sand, I think. again, it really was quite a fantastical and mythical feel about it. So that's something to keep an eye out on for sure. Right then, so moving on to yet another bombshell, The Curse of Ymir. Listen, man, that felt good. As you saw, I got, quite excited about that. So it turns out there was a ticking time bomb plot device, and that theory was correct. And that there is a catch to being one of these Titan shifters, or one of the 9, that is. And in a bit of an out of character moment, I actually got, really excited about that. Got really excited, about getting it right. Usually I tend to not make a massive deal out of getting something right. It's usually a smile and a nod, because I feel like making a big massive deal about nailing a prediction or something, it feels a bit tacky, to me at least. So, it's usually a smile and a nod, because it's never about getting one over the story. Not at all. Not for me at least. I think it's more about being in harmony and understanding the path a writer has, created for us, the audience or the reader. So, it's never about getting one over the story. Just this one specifically just had me really excited, because I so strongly felt that there's got to be a reason that these young children are getting these Titan shifting abilities, right? And then there's this ritual, the royal family ritual, that happens perpetually, right? And the fact that these, Titan shifting abilities, or being one of the 9, feels so OP, right? That, that surely there's got to be something to ground it, right? And I strongly felt that there's got to be some sort of ticking time bomb plot device, right? And this is it, right? There is a catch. The Curse of Ymir, you only get to live 13 years after you take on one of the 9. Now, again, I know it's a strange moment. I seem quite happy as I'm finding out that some of these characters I really care for, on both sides, only have, or they have an expiration date on them. Yet I'm happy in that moment. But again, it's not, for that reason, I must apologize. I'm not happy. I'm not happy to hear this. It's certainly a sad moment to find that out. It was kind of like my excitement kind of leaking into that moment. So, for this specific moment, I allowed myself to be excited about this. But let's move on to the actual curse, right? So 13 years. So the founder, Ymir Fritz, after making the deal with the devil, or, her powers awakening, it depends who you believe, right? Again, Aaron Kruger put it so perfectly, you could either be a god or a devil, right? It just depends on who believes it, right? So regardless of, the origins of it, the fact is she only lived 13 years after, taking on this ability, right? Was it a case of this, immense power being so immense, I guess, that, her body was only able to handle it for that 13-year time span, right? And took a substantial toll on her. And by the end of it, she kind of had to, pass it on, or she passed on. It's still not specified how that happened, her passing on the Titans. In the last episode, they said, yeah, once she passed on, or once she died, the 9 Titans, her spirit split up into 9 Eldians, but they didn't really go into detail, of how that happened. Now imagine being Mikasa at that moment in time, finding out that the 2 people you care for most have an expiration date on them, right? One has 13 years and one has 8, maybe less, right? So yeah, that took a toll on her immediately, right? It was quite affecting, and you could see that as she steps out of the jail cell, right? It's had a physical effect on her, a noticeable one. Aaron noticed immediately, but she rejected it straight out. She just doesn't want to buy it. She doesn't want to believe it. So of course, this introduces a totally new dimension to their friendship, right? Knowing that 2 of them are going to die, right? Unless, of course, at some point in the series they start going into the possibility of lifting the curse of Ymir, right? I'm not sure if they're going to go that route or go into that route, but that could be something cool to explore, because again, there's this whole concept of time being a flat circle, and history repeating itself, and people not learning from their mistakes, and these cycles, perpetual cycles, right, happening in different eras over and over. So again, perhaps another cycle that could potentially break at some point is maybe this curse of Ymir, right? Or it is something set in stone, and the story might not even touch that, might not even go in that direction of exploring the possibility of lifting the curse of Ymir somehow. That's as far as I can go on that tangent, because I don't even know how that would possibly be lifted, right? But I'm just saying, a possibility down the line. Again, this episode alone has just opened up a brand new realm of possibilities, right? So who knows? That's the one thing about this series, right? This story. Just as you think that you've seen it all, something insane happens, right? A bombshell, a totally new door opens. So again, nothing is out of the realm of possibility, right? Let's see. But going back to Keith Shardis, it appears that he was indirectly right about this. Eren being cursed. He's literally cursed, with these 13 years. I mean, much less for him now, right? 8 or less years. But another question that I had in my episode 7 discussion, and this is the discussion that kind of brought out that whole theory about a ticking time bomb plot device. I asked the question, if there is some sort of catch that they do have to pass it on at some point, right? And they can't hold it forever. What happens if they die before passing it on? They gave me a direct answer to that. It ends up going to a yet to be born Eldian baby, right? A new baby, yet to be born. So that's insane. Something that substantial. One of the 9 ends up just, it's like a random reincarnation. It ends up going to a random Eldian baby. Now again, that's not a good thing, right? Because now that child is only going to live to 13. So of course the curse of Ymir is being passed on. And of course the other side knows about this as well. If you go back to Descent, episode 15, that conversation they're having up top, right? As they're sharing cups of coffee. Zeke straight up told Reiner, if they fight again, right, and he loses, he's going to have to give up his, he's going to have to give up the Armored Titan to another warrior. And at that moment in time, I brought up the potential of people, they have people ready to take this on, right? So they're prepared. It appears they know about this 13-year lifespan once you take on a Titan shifter, because as he said, he's going to have to give it up. And again, it's been clear since season 1 that this is a unit that's trained and sent out, right, as child soldiers. So there's others in line that you can be replaced. So in that sense, isn't it just insane that Marley is kind of using their own people against each other, right? They have these Eldians that are fighting on their behalf, right, and representing them. Like I said, it's like a cycle repeating itself, going back to that day and the Great Titan War, right? You have Eldians on each side because clearly they pulled off this 7 Titan swing, and there seemed to be some sort of infighting going on. So it's Eldian against Eldian. Right then, so it finally happened. Eren realizes how it was possible to unlock the abilities of the Founding Titan, the Coordinate, right? It was because he made contact with the Smiling Titan. I've been doing that motion for so long now. So in that sense, it was really cool to see a character in the show or in the series or in the story realize that now, right? And actually, pardon me, I should say Dinah Fritz, right? She was a person, a really nice person, a wonderful person, who ended up being a Titan, right? So yeah, Dinah Fritz, making connection with Dinah Fritz. Now that realization blew his mind, right? Just like it blew my mind all that time ago, coming to that realization. And it caused a bit of an outburst, right? He drew some unwanted attention to himself and he regretted it instantly. But then also the other thing that came to him is that, Historia, the only royal that's around, right? There's another, I'll get to that. The only royal that's around them, or that's, part of their group, right? Historia race, the queen, the royal of royal blood. Now he realized this is possible, let me dial it back a bit. Once he realizes it was because of the royal blood, right? He then realizes, oh, okay, so this is possible with Historia as well. But, the thing here is that he surmised that it has to be a royal blood holder, or not holder, a royal titan, someone of royal blood in their titan form, right? It can't be that easy, right? It can't just be a person, a royal that's in their human form, because he has touched Historia, he has touched Rod. Now, those touches did do something substantial. They did unlock these profound memories, but, it's not the same as unlocking the founding titan. And also, I feel like that would just create a bunch of plot holes, right? If it was as simple as just touching someone of royal blood. It's got to be in the Titan form, right? It's got to be something that's quite difficult. Now, before I move on, let's think of the hypothetical. If he does say he approaches Historia and he tells her about this possibility, right? I feel like Historia is the type of person who would just straight up say, yeah, I would love to help. Let me help. Because I know I'm in a really unique situation of having royal blood, right? But it's just so impossible though, right? There's so many roadblocks. First of all, you need the serum. You're not going to get any more of that serum. There's none left, right? They have a bunch of it, right? The Marlanes. But, how are you going to get it? You're not going to get it. And second, you need them to then consume a Titan shifter, right? So that's just not going to happen. It's not practical, not at all. And also, he was quite afraid about that possibility, or he was afraid to share that, with anyone. Even Armin and Mikasa, he didn't even tell them at that point in time. He has concerns, right? He has concerns about what the military might do to Historia if they do find out about this. But, that being said, you can see Armin doesn't miss anything. He knows something's eating away at Eren at that moment in time. I think sooner or later he's going to share that information. Now then, as you'll recall from my reaction from the last episode, that day, there was a reason I was so goddamn excited about that, bombshell, or the confirmation, the official confirmation of that Zeke has royal blood. It brought me to tears. That confirmation legit brought me to tears. I was so excited because it's been established at this point in time. It's just so rare. And one of the other reasons I was so excited is Zeke specifically being a royal blood, because Zeke is Grisha's son. He's Eren's half brother. So there's connections, right? Deep connections here. So him being a royal blood is what made it even more exciting, right? Again, had me all teary-eyed because of these possibilities, right? Now, like I said in that discussion for the last episode, it's impossible that his royal blood is not going to play a part in the story at some point. It is going to play a part. I'm so sure of it. Isayama-san has established or introduced this enticing path or possibility, right? It's going to matter. Him being a royal blood is going to matter. Now, I brought up the possibility of, Eren potentially coming across a Beast Titan and making contact, right? But, so far in the series, they've been kept apart, even in the Battle of Shiganshina, right? So that was clever. And, I asked that question in the last episode, what if Eren was to, meet him on the battlefield, right? And touch him in his Titan form. So there are a few things to ask here, right? Zeke does have a Titan, right? He has one of the 9, the Beast Titan. So the question becomes, can Eren unlock the abilities of the Founding Titan by touching Zeke in his human form, unlike Historia in her human form, right? Because Zeke, the difference being Zeke is a Titan shifter, right? And it has one of the 9. That becomes a question, right? Though that still kind of feels like it's a bit too easy in that sense. And then also the other question becomes, does Eren have to be in his human form to unlock the abilities of the Founding Titan, right? Can he do it as the Attack Titan or in his Titan form, right? Those things I can't really answer at this point in time, because the one time they have shown Eren use the abilities of the Founding Titan is in his human form, right? But again, it should be noted that he wasn't able to transform in that moment in time. But then again, something that just came to me is the fact that his hand just all of a sudden healed, right? Before that, it wasn't able to heal. It was taking its sweet time. But then all of a sudden, it starts healing. And that really strange and cool thing starts happening, right? Is that the pads in action, right? They said, Titan bone and blood, or flesh and blood can be passed through these pads that transcend time and space. So did that all of a sudden, allow him to regenerate his hand? And then there's a really cool thing that's going on. I don't know how to explain it, but you see those things in the Titan bodies as well, right? Most recently, I pointed it out in Reiner's head and forehead, right? I did this because I was pointing out those things I can notice under his flesh. So that is kind of cool if that's the manifestation of, Titan flesh and bones being transported through these pads. Now, it's definitely possible that, Eren could find himself across the Beast Titan in the battlefield at some point, or, the end game of the series, clashing one final time perhaps, right? Toe-to-toe, brother against brother. So he could get a chance to, touch the Beast Titan then. But again, you have to question, does Zeke know this? Does he know that Eren, as the holder of the Founding Titan, could initiate or unlock the abilities of the Founding Titan if Eren touches him? So two sides to this, right? You have to keep asking, how much does Zeke know, right? Or, so in that sense, could he even allow himself to be in that position, right? Of being touched by Eren in that case. So, yeah, it's a tough task, especially if it does have to be Zeke in his Beast Titan form and Eren in his human form to touch him. Though I don't see why he wouldn't be able to touch Zeke in the Attack Titan form, right? And still unlock the abilities of the Founding Titan. It's still Eren, right? And he does have the Founding Titan within him. Right then, so that possibility is assuming that he is firmly on the Marleyan side and he's going to stay there for the rest of his run as the Beast Titan. That's one end. Now let's go to the other possibility. The possibility I brought up in the last episode. That it's not out of the realm of possibility that Zeke Yeager might be doing his own thing. That he might be running a long con. That he might be a sleeper agent himself. And like I said, this series is so perfect for those kind of characters, right? Sleeper agents, double agents. And I've seen so many of them, right? And that all this time later, he is actually going through with that plan, right? Of infiltrating and, playing the long con and being a double agent. To me, that is so goddamn exciting. Listen, man, I firmly believe that Zeke knows just how important he is having royal blood. And, in that sense, he is one of the most important figures of this story, right? Because of that reason. Again, that's why I was so excited about that, confirmation. And again, they made sure that the audience understands. You know, the moment Grisha lifts him up as a baby, he's like, you know, this child of royal blood. This is clearly a character that can change the trajectory of this story, right? Based on his actions, right? From this point on. Let's see, man. Let's see. I have hope. I have hope. And you know how I just brought up the possibility of brother against brother, and you see that a lot in different stories. You know, I've seen it in movies a lot. But what about the possibility of brother and brother side by side, half brothers, I guess, but you know, side by side, fighting for the same cause? Now, I'm not saying that their cause is. I'll get into that in a bit. I have a segment about Eldians and how I'll get to that, but you know, just imagine that. And then if they are, you know, on the same side at some point, Eren using Zeke, you know, in his Beast Titan form to unlock the abilities of the Founding Titan. You know, imagine that. That honestly would be one of the most insane things, one of the most fulfilling things I would see in all of my time, you know, experiencing storytelling or consuming storytelling in all forms. That would just be insane. And, you know, speaking of Eren unlocking the Founding Titan after making contact with Dinah Fritz, that surge, you know, there was a distinct moment that all the other Titan shifters in that area felt that surge, right? And again, that's because that is a coordinate, right? They are all connected to it. And the moment it was activated, in a rare moment, they all felt that, right? And, you know, the interesting thing to note here is that even as Eren is trying to escape and he's got Mikasa on his back, right? He's piggybacking her out of there. He was still able to use his Founding Titan abilities, right? To control some of the pure Titans, the Red Eyes, right? He let them loose on Reiner. So it appears that he doesn't have to be in constant contact. You know, once you do make contact, it appears that the effects linger for a specific amount of time, perhaps. And before I move on from this concept of the surge within these Titan shifters, right, one of the 9, the Ackerman clan has their own inner strength, right? Their own inner surge that kind of happens. And I saw, you know, the manifestation of this in season 1, as, you know, Eren is being choked by that guy, the robber, the kidnapper, and he's telling Mikasa to fight, right? So in that sense, Eren and Shingeki no Kyojin, the Attack Titan, are meant to be. They are just meant to be. Or should I go down that rabbit hole? Maybe for the next episode. Maybe next time. I want to stay on point. Now, yeah, you know, so the Ackerman clan have their own moments like that, right? The inner strength that starts, you know, kind of coming out at some point in their lives. And, you know, even Levi said that Kenny felt this incredible amount of energy or strength surging through him. So, yeah, you know, there is a parallel there as well. You know, the Ackerman clan feeling this connection, this surge within them. Or being activated. But speaking of memories or things being unlocked, it appeared that Historia was able to unlock some of these memories of Ymir just by touching the same paper that Ymir touched. Now, that is quite puzzling. Now, the first thought that comes to mind, or the only thought really, is that, you know, given the fact that Ymir was one of the 9 at that moment in time and Historia is of royal blood, perhaps that connection is strong enough to trigger this memory recall, right? Through touching, you know, this piece of paper that they both touched at different points in time. Other than that, I can't really think of anything that would cause that. I'm drawing a blank. But yeah, maybe it is that, right? But unfortunately, you know, in those quick flashes, you do see her chained up and she's in those robes and she's ready, right? That was the whole point. She was ready to give it back. That was the whole point of the season 2 finale, right? making that choice. Because she is the only one that could understand Reiner and Bertolt's situation at that moment in time, and she made that choice. You know, how incredible is that? That she decided to go help them. So yeah, unfortunately, it is an official goodbye to the best girl. There is one of the best characters of the series, one of my favorite characters of the series, and she will remain in my top 3, top 4 for the rest of the series. I'm just a bit sad that I didn't get to see her again. You know, I know I got to see her in this flashback, quick flashback, but it would have been nice to see her in a few more scenes. Again, the story didn't really allow for her to reappear, right, at any point after she left in the season 2 finale. But just like that, the Marley Nation now has their Titan back, right? She initially, by that incredible chance encounter, you know, took that from Marcel. And now she returned it, right? So they have it back. Again, no idea who that person is who takes it, but I'm guessing, you know, like I mentioned, there's people in line to take this on, right? Child soldiers, though he looked, I mean, maybe he was just tall. But yeah, you know, he looked a bit older than a child, that's for sure. Now, I think it's important to note that Hanji specified that, you know, the rest of the world wants to eradicate the subjects of Ymir, not just Marley, right? And she's getting this information straight from Grisha's notebooks. So, and then of course, the thing that the first king of the walls stated, that makes things even more interesting. I believe he said if LDI is driven to sin once again, then they will perish as it's meant to be, or they shall perish as it's meant to be. That's crazy. So, you know, after hearing these things, it's starting to become a bit more clear that perhaps this history depicted in the last episode that day isn't as far-fetched, you know, and isn't as unbelievable. It appears that everyone hates the Eldians and they're afraid of them. I guess in that sense, you know, if you do look at it, they are a race that can turn into giant monsters, right? So you could understand in that sense the fear, right, of the Eldian race. But yeah, you know, as Hanji said, it appears that everyone's the enemy outside of these walls, right? No one likes the Eldians. And then you have Aaron Kruger. Quite an interesting character, man. Yet again, Isayama introduces a limited appearance character, or a special appearance character, you know, that's only around for one episode or a couple of episodes. He's got quite a handful of them, right, at this point in time. But, you know, he was quite a realist. Yes, he was devoted to the Eldian cause, but he didn't claim to be in the right. You know, at no point did he claim to be in the right. You know, the only truth in this world is that there is no truth. You know, that line of dialogue is so poignant and so thematically resonant to this series, right? Anyone can be a god or a devil. People just have to believe it, right? So, you know, Aaron Kruger himself didn't really, like, even he didn't quite understand the true nature of their founder, Ymir Fritz, right? Yet he didn't sound like a fanatic, right? He made the choice to back the Eldian cause. He made the choice to, you know, fight for that cause. Yet at no point in time did he deny any of this harsh history that's been established, right? He didn't. He just didn't. He was so real about it. So I like that. I really like that he didn't have this fanatical disposition about him. So Isayama-san is quite good at writing these types of characters, right? These nuanced, limited appearance characters, you know, characters like Kenny and Keith even recently. And then you've got Yuri and Rodrice even. So yeah, that's certainly one of his strong points. You know, some of these side characters that come in and impact the lives, or, you know, impact characters. He's great at turning these limited appearances into impact characters for the long-term characters of the series. Quite good. And, you know, again, in that sense, you know, Aaron Kruger, one of the better, one episode characters I've seen, or 2 episode characters I've seen. Aaron Kruger ended up having such an impact on Grisha's life from that point on, and his trajectory from that point on, that, it appears that he ended up naming his son after Aaron Kruger, right? And I love that. If that is, it does appear that is the case here. He set Grisha on a new path. He gave him a second chance. He gave him a chance to at redemption. He gave him a chance to finish what he started all that time ago. And in that sense, Grisha received such a fantastic arc over these last 2 episodes. Grisha Yeager, man. Yeah, man, he's also one of the better characters of this show. Damn, man, he's been through a lot. And yeah, like Kruger said, did you not start this story? He did. He put this in motion. One of the things that's been brought up in these past few episodes is the concept of things repeating itself, that time is a flat circle, that these things inevitably repeat themselves, and that they must break these cycles, right? Or put an end to these cycles. And he told Grisha to do it, and he did it, right? He did end up loving someone inside the walls. He did have a kid, and he did raise him in a totally different manner, right? In comparison to Zeke, his failure as a father in that sense. So he learned, Grisha learned from his mistake, from a substantial mistake, and he didn't repeat it, right? So I think that's about it. That's about it for another incredible episode. So much stuff to extract from it. Right up my alley. I just love it. So if you enjoyed it, consider dropping a like. Consider dropping some comments. Give me your thoughts. If you're interested in full length for this episode, or even early access to the next episode right now, consider checking out the Patreon page and check out some of the other listings there. Maybe something might catch your eye, and in doing so, you'll be supporting the channel. There is a schedule now. I am back in a different capacity, so consider subscribing to the channel. And also consider checking out the pinned comment. It has the links to the Patreon page. It has links to my social media, and it usually has any updates if there are updates. So thanks for joining me and checking that out. I hope to see you soon. Take it easy.